teams. Let's see, Sarah also, we used to work together, and we also went to the same grad school together, came from UCLA, library school program. So, and yeah, it's fun. So, librarian too.
Hi. Yeah, first. Can you guys hear me? I've been told I'm a pretty loud human, so just to make sure that I'm loud for you. And that I'm not the only one looking at my presentation. While Grace gets it ready, so I'll give you some context. Obviously today we're talking about information and all the different ways you can use it and its challenges. We'll be talking about something in a little bit of a different context today, which is information about teams. So if you work with teams or you lead a team, whether you're a design lead or a manager or a product owner or a scrum master, we'll be talking about information about teams and designing for teams who design. So I don't know how many of you are of an age where you know what the screenshot is from. It's from a video called Safety Dance. So today we're going to talk about team safety, but I won't make you guys dance. Okay. I'm also going to start this so I know how long I am. Okay. So pretty lame looking presentation, but the information, the goal is to give you guys something that you can take back to your work starting Monday that you can actually apply to your job. So something very practical. So we're going to talk about team safety, what it is, why it's important, what a safety check is, meaning how to measure team safety, and a few tips for improving it. So first I just want to give a shout out to these two guys, two of my coworkers who are amazing, who inspired me and kind of have been using team safety where we work at Loot Crate. They didn't invent this, they kind of found it through a guy who spearheaded it, but I just want to give a hat tip to them. So we're going to talk about what it is. You can look at the bold bullet. The way I like to think of it is it's a level of trust amongst your team. It comes from thought around the idea of psychological safety, as well as thinking about organizational culture and how teams work together. There's a few quotes defining it by this researcher, who's a professor at Harvard Business School, Amy Edmondson. It's really the sense of confidence, I'll read the middle one, that someone in the team and everyone amongst the team is comfortable to speak up. You will not be embarrassed, rejected, or punished for something you say for speaking up. So it's a climate around the team, a level of interpersonal trust and mutual respect, where everyone is comfortable being themselves. So that's overall the idea of what it is. And I have resources at the end if anyone's interested in diving deeper. There's tons of stuff you can read. Another thing that it is a core principle of, I don't know how many Agile kind of folks we have in here, or folks who are interested in modern Agile. So there's 4 principles of modern Agile, and making safety a prerequisite, so team safety and teams working safely together to be able to deliver value and to be able to do it continuously and fast is one of those things. Why it's important, the too long didn't read version, is that it's really crucial in helping build an effective and high-performing team that's very highly engaged with the work they're doing and with each other. You need to have trust, you need to have transparency, and you need to have collaboration. You can't really have that if you don't have a team that can truly and freely talk to one another and share what's on their mind. Bunch of bullet points which say that way better than the way that I would say it. A few guidelines around, so a safety check is an actual activity to measure team safety. So everything I've said probably feels a little bit like it's how someone on your team feels, which maybe is hard to identify. So a safety check is meant to actually qualitatively gather what the feeling of the team is. So there's a few keys. One, it needs to be anonymous. People need to feel safe participating without being exposed, so you want to make sure that you're not saying, you feel unsafe, you feel safe, you're making this person feel unsafe. That would totally go against the face of the goal of it. It is meant to build awareness, so this is purely meant to make something that's a little bit more intangible around kind of dynamics of teamwork and make it a little bit more tangible, so you can start to build awareness for yourself as the leader to start helping improve team safety, and also building awareness for the members of the team who all together contribute to the level of team safety. So this is an activity to build awareness. And then again, it's also quantifiable, and you can see by my beautiful image, it's quantifying what is more qualitative and emotional. So that's what it is. What it is not is, in terms of the safety check, the activity, it's not a place to give and receive feedback. It's not a time to identify existing issues. It's not a forum for resolving what those issues are. And it's not a judgment of the team or any of the team members. It's, again, purely an activity to build that awareness. That doesn't mean you won't identify or solve those things. It just means you should do it at another time, maybe one-on-one or at other things, and that's part of you as the leader of the team to help build that. So how the hell do you do it? So here's the scale. It's a 1 through 5 scale that goes all the way from the bottom. Nothing is discussable without filtering. Almost nothing is discussable without filtering. Most things are discussable without filtering. Almost everything is discussable without filtering. And then everything is discussable without filtering. I have these, or I don't have them anywhere, but I'm sure Grace can, and the World AA social team can share out this deck, and you can email me for it as well. So that's the scale that you use in the activity. There's 3 steps, and I have 1.5 minutes to 5 minutes, I think. Half a minute maybe. So step 1 is you bring your team together. You inform the team of what you're doing and why, so you kind of talk them through the things I just told you about why it's important. Remind them that it's an awareness exercise only. Remind them that it's completely anonymous, and therefore request that they give you their truly genuine and honest feedback and measurement. That's kind of tough if maybe you as the leader are the reason they don't feel safe, so hopefully that's not a problem. If it is, you're kind of Step 2, explain to them how it works. So show them the scale I just showed you. Using a 5-point scale, ask them to rate how safe do they feel with the team. That can be the physical space and the psychological space, the emotional space, anything that you can kind of define altogether as space. Ideally, each team member, you have a set of playing cards 1 through 5 for each team member. Each team member gets that full 1 through 5 deck, and then they, anonymously put it all towards the middle. You explain, again, the scale and how it's being measured, how to print it out for reference. That's always helpful. And then just clarification, word filtering, you can define it as filtering refers to modifying the original kind of raw thought or idea that you have before saying it all, and if you have a need to filter in any way, or if you filter yourself by not saying anything at all. So obviously, take the results, have them done anonymously, pull them together, gather everyone's cards, compile them, just pull it into an average. You don't need to show all the rankings. You don't need to show here's a 3, here's a 5, here's a 1. You can if you want to, but it's probably best just to show the average at first, so people aren't assuming who put it through a 2 down, who threw a 1 down, stuff like that. And then, of course, remind them at the end, this is not the time or the place to discuss. Over time, as teams get more comfortable and familiar with the activity, there may start to be some discussion, but just to make sure there's no pressure on the team, you shouldn't put it on there at first. And then you want to document each time you do a safety check, so you can start to track over time what it looks like. And then you want to make any notes regarding any changes, whether it's new team members or changes to the organization or anything like that. A few FAQs, so how often, ideally every 2 weeks. This comes from Agile, so on a sprint. You can also do it maybe monthly. I wouldn't recommend doing it once a quarter. That's almost a little bit too little to really care about team safety. Who can facilitate it? Basically anyone that should really be the leader of the team in some way, whether it's the team manager, the functional manager, or maybe it's your Agile coach, something like that. Do you include the facilitator, the person who's running it? Up to you, you can. In my teams, I include myself in it because I feel I'm a part of the team. And I want to be safe too. What if the team member isn't present? That's okay. Proceed and just mark it down as a note. And then if you don't have cards, you can always just write their number down. Final one, I think we're close to time. A few tips for improving team safety. If you get a 4 to a 5, which is really awesome, just think about what's working. So you want to build awareness for yourself in case this changes. So as a manager, you have 2 minutes. You can start to identify what may have changed. If it's a 1 to a 3, obviously start to think about what are some challenges and issues that you're observing. You can use one-to-one meetings to kind of bring it up and discuss if team members are comfortable talking about it, what's going on with them. No pressure. If they don't want to talk about it, they don't have to. Again, you as a leader, that's your job to observe team dynamics and start figuring out how you can change things around and improve them. Another good tip is just to start having team members share their working styles with each other at the beginning of a new project. obviously changing the physical space may help if no one sits together. If they're distributed, make sure there's once a week they all sit together so they get more familiar with each other. That can really limit team safety. And then all kinds of assessment activities. So whether it's strength finder or figuring out their communication style or conflict management or their learning style, getting people to better understand how they work and how others work should start to help. So that's it. And time for maybe one question. Guy in hoodie.
Michael. What do you recommend for a team that's so small that it'd be kind of obvious who's
Good question. It's about 2 well, since it's an average, it should still be, I mean, if it's a team of 2, then there's probably no safety check. That's probably just continuous conversation between those 2 people. I'd say 3 or higher because you're doing an average, although I'm not a mathematician, so, or even good at math anyway, you should listen to me. But I feel like 3 people and doing an average of 3 with only numbers 1 through 5 should be enough. If numbers feel too big, this is just me pulling it out of my butt. If numbers feel too big, you could use kind of a room temperature of low, medium, high, or like cold, medium, hot, or something like that. That's a little bit more not as numerical. If you're, I don't know how that works. So I'd say try it with a team of 3 or more.